Listen, I want you to pay attention to the little things you've been doing, okay? I'm not talking about the repeating numbers. I'm not talking about the obvious signs. I'm talking about the changes that are so subtle that you probably haven't even connected them to your future yet, okay? Now let's talk about some of these things. You keep finding yourself one step ahead of problems, okay? It's like you handle something before it becomes an issue, and then later on, you realize how much trouble you avoided by doing this, right? You're learning to anticipate instead of constantly reacting, okay? Now, another thing, advice that you ignored years ago, suddenly it just makes perfect sense to you, right? An old conversation, it returns in your mind, and now you understand exactly what they meant. It's like you're finally reaching the life experience necessary to understand that lesson, okay? Now, another thing, an old mistake that you made years ago, suddenly it becomes very, very useful to you, okay? You recognize a familiar situation, and this time you know what not to do. You're turning previous losses into future protection when you do this, okay? Now, another thing, you start wondering who actually owns everything around you. Who owns that building? Who owns those businesses? You're beginning to notice ownership instead of only consumption, okay? Now, another thing, you catch yourself calculating what an hour of your life is worth. Certain tasks, they suddenly feel expensive. Saving $20 doesn't always feel worth losing 3 hours, right? You're learning that time has financial value too, right? And you're starting to learn that time is your first currency and you can never ever get time back, right? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, other people's complaints are starting to sound like opportunities to you. Somebody keeps describing a problem and your mind, it automatically searches for the solution, right? You're learning that solving recurring problems can create value, okay? Now, another thing, you start asking, where does my money go after I spend it, okay? Who receives it? What did they provide, right? You're becoming conscious about the systems behind everyday transactions, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, it's like you notice things that you keep paying for over and over again, okay? Rentals, replacements, things like that. You're beginning to understand the long-term difference between repeated consumption and ownership, okay? Now, another thing, you realize something easy for you is difficult for other people, right? People repeatedly ask you, how did you do that? What did you do? It's like they're just asking you those questions, right? And you never considered it special or anything like that, but you're recognizing that familiarity can hide the value of your own knowledge, okay? Now, another thing, you start reading the fine print all of a sudden. The fees, they suddenly catch your attention, right? The terms and the conditions that you once skipped over, now it matters, doesn't it? It's like you're learning that small details can have large financial consequences, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you catch yourself asking why something costs what it costs, the materials, the labor, things like that, right? You're beginning to think about the margins and value instead of simply seeing the price tag, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start noticing empty spaces in the marketplace, okay? Something should exist, but it doesn't. And you're starting to see this right now, right? Everybody seems to have the same complaint. You're starting to see this also. You're learning that what's missing can sometimes be more valuable than what's already available, okay? Now, another thing, you begin saving ideas instead of trusting yourself to remember them, okay? You're putting notes in your phone, random observations, things like that. You're starting to treat your own ideas like assets instead of just disposable thoughts, okay? Now, another thing, you start asking why you're doing something manually every single time, repetitive task, repeating the same work over and over again. You're beginning to think in systems instead of constantly starting from zero every single time, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you notice how businesses get you to spend more than you planned, okay? I'm talking about like add-ons, upgrades. You're noticing this right now. You're becoming conscious of how purchasing decisions are influenced, okay? Now, another thing, you start watching what people constantly pay for, okay? Convenience, solutions. It's like you're starting to notice this right now. You're learning that repeated spending often reveals repeated demand, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you catch yourself studying why certain places are always busy, okay? The same location, constant customers all the time. You're beginning to notice what creates demand instead of just noticing the success itself, okay? Now, another thing, you start seeing unused things differently, okay? Equipment that's collecting dust, space that nobody is using, okay? You're starting to notice this right now. You're learning to recognize dormant spaces, and you're starting to see opportunity in everything, aren't you? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you begin asking whether something can pay for itself, okay? A purchase, a tool. You're starting to distinguish productive purchases from pure consumption, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start noticing how often you're paying for lack of preparation, okay? Last minute purchases, rush fees, things like that. You're discovering that planning ahead can have measurable financial value, okay? Proper preparation prevents poor performance, okay? Now, another thing, you catch yourself thinking about what happens after you get paid, okay? Things like that. Where does it go? Or what remains? Things like that, right? You're shifting attention from earning money to keeping and directing money, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start looking for empty time. You start looking at empty time differently right now, okay? Waiting somewhere, sitting between responsibilities, okay? You're realizing small pockets of time can be used intentionally without turning every minute into work, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably experiencing right now, it's like you notice how often businesses sell the same thing more than once, okay? Memberships, subscriptions, things like that, right? You're beginning to understand why recurring revenue can be very, very powerful. And you're starting to wonder, how can I create recurring revenue for myself, right? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start wondering why some people get paid once and others keep getting paid over and over again, okay? You're noticing one-time labor, and you're noticing repeatable products, things like that, okay? Digital products, all right? It's like you're learning that how income is structured can matter as much as how hard someone works, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you begin paying attention to what happens behind the counter. All of a sudden, you're noticing this, okay? You're noticing the inventory. You're noticing the operations right now. You're starting to see the machinery behind businesses instead of only the customer experience, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you notice how much money is made from saving people time, okay? Delivery, automation. You're recognizing that time saving itself can be very, very valuable, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start seeing your receipts as information, okay? What keeps repeating and things like that, what keeps increasing. It's like you're paying attention to your receipts right now. You're learning that spending history can reveal patterns that your memory misses, okay? And sometimes you might even catch yourself studying old receipts, okay? And you might just start seeing just different sequences of numbers and things like that on your receipts, okay? And it has meaningful information to you, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you become curious about why certain products never seem to disappear, okay? People continuously need them. And it's like trends, they don't seem to matter, okay? You're noticing all this right now. You're beginning to notice the difference between temporary hype and durable demand, long-term demand, okay? Now, another thing, you start recognizing when you're paying for a brand instead of the thing itself, okay? Similar products, completely different price, okay? You're seeing this, right? It's like you're learning how just participation or perception can create financial value, okay? You're starting to see all of this right now. And you're learning that you don't have to pay for something because of the brand name, okay? You can get the same value out of something that doesn't have the brand name, right? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you begin asking what happens if your main income stops working for 30 days, okay? What continues? What immediately becomes difficult, right? You're becoming aware of vulnerabilities that you previously ignored, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start noticing how frequently people pay to avoid doing something themselves, okay? This could be something like cleaning, it could be something like maintenance. And you're recognizing that inconvenience can create an entire market, all right? I'm telling you, you're seeing opportunity. You're just seeing value in everything right now, right? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you catch yourself looking something up instead of saying, I don't know that, or I don't know the answer, all right? You're looking up the financial term. You're looking up a business concept, okay? You're replacing intimidation with curiosity, okay? Now, another thing that you're probably doing right now, you start recognizing the difference between cheap and economy, okay? Economy-wise right now. Cheap can require replacement. Expensive can sometimes last longer, okay? Things like that. It's like you're learning to calculate total cost instead of today's price, all right? Now, I'm telling you, you're going through a lot of these small little things, and these are also synchronicities. And I know you all mentioned the video yesterday that I did that there was a deer. I didn't even know that there was a deer behind me when I was doing this video, okay? That is a synchronicity in itself, okay? I'm telling you, a deer is also a spirit guide, okay? And it's also a symbolic message behind it, okay? I'm telling you, there's a lot of wisdom. There's peace in that. There's divine guidance in that, okay? I'm telling you, thank you so much for pointing that out to me, okay? Now, I just wanted to make this video today. You know, this is a real quick video because a lot of the times you have to pay attention to the subtle changes in yourself, okay? Because you are the biggest sign, okay, that things are about to happen in your life, okay? This is a big sign that your inner world is changing, okay? Because once you change on the inside, your outer world is going to change, okay? I'm telling you, reality will reflect back to you your inner changes, okay? That's why you're starting to see these different changes in your life, okay? So you have to continue to believe. You have to continue to have faith. You have to continue to do the work. This is very, very important. Even if you're going through something in life right now, you're probably just being tested right now, okay? Adversity will happen, okay? There are going to be times in life where you're up and then all of a sudden you're back down and you're like, man, why am I down right here right now? You're being tested right now, your endurance, okay? You're being tested to see if you're going to get back up. So many people fall, okay? And so many people stay down. But a lot of people, they get back up and they do it over and over again. You have to keep on showing up. You have to continue to do the work, okay? Even seeing different things in your dreams, okay? You see yourself winning the lottery, okay? That dream is a preview of something that's about to happen. You truly have to just continue to do the work. You have to pay attention to your inner changes. You have to pay attention to your inner world, okay? You have to pay attention because I'm telling you, that means things in the outer world are about to change for you, okay? Now, thank you so much for tuning in to Millionaire Mindset, all right? Where everything happens in divine time by divine design, but you are the divine design. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment on this video, and hype this video up. Until the next video, Millionaire Mindset signing off.